have got a lot of really good young people in this area. They're not all bad. In fact, even the bad ones aren't really that bad. However, I do think that we have a problem with diet. We've got too much sugar in our diet, which fuels bad behaviour. But we also need to inspire our young people that they can have a can-do attitude. In Pendle, there's not enough to shout about. And one of the things that I was going to do, you might laugh at this, one of the things I would like to do is I'd like to get Pendle in the Guinness Book of Records. And I want to, what I was thinking of this crazy idea, you might not like it, but in Brazil, 14,000 people got together to dance to Michael Jackson's Thriller. Now I believe if we could do that in Pendle, get 14,500 people, then it would inspire people of Pendle to really have a can-do attitude. Like
I'm going to say, how are you there?
Well, I mean, the plan that I had in here, the crazy plan that I had in here, was first of all we start exercising and start dancing. We could set out a video and a routine, and then we could get everybody together in Bandyrose Car Park. And if we can inspire our young people to believe that we can have a can-do attitude, then perhaps it would be better inspired to do something more positive.
Okay, thank
Next question, thank you.
This year, the UN described child poverty in the UK as, and I'm quoting, not just a disgrace, but a social calamity and an economic disaster all rolled into one. And what do the candidates consider are the three main causes, and which three proposals in your party manifesto do you consider will remedy this?
Okay. Back to yes, Andrew, next was this mostly train thought.
So it's terrible the rate of poverty that we have. The best way out of poverty, we all know, is work. We need to get people into work. We need to reduce the number of workless households.
Please let people answer. Please don't overspeed. Let people answer. Thank you.
We have significantly reduced the number of workless households in the UK, but we have, of course, had a difficult time when wages haven't been rising. Wages have now started to rise. I'm proud that my government introduced the national living wage. In our manifesto, we have committed to raising the national living wage further, but we also need to ensure that the benefit system supports people to be in work and take out some of the cliff edges that we saw on previous benefits, like income support, where there was a 16-hour cliff edge, which meant you were penalised if you wanted to take an extra hours and work more. So we need to, first and foremost, get people into work. You know, every Labour government in history has left unemployment higher than it's when it's come into government. So you know, I'm proud that my government and my party have created millions more jobs, and we will continue with careful management of the economy. But we also need to look at some of the barriers.
Andrew, can you stop a minute? Can we please keep the discipline and respect? Someone's talking, can we listen? Thank you.
We also need to look at some of the real barriers to getting into employment, whether that be drug or alcohol addiction, and also people who've been through the prison system. I employed an ex-offender in my London office. She did a number of years inside, and I thought that I should give her a working chance, because if people didn't give ex-offenders chances, you know, their children are the most likely to be in poverty. Similarly, as we see locally, the children of people who have substance abuse problems. So I think, you know, work is the main answer here. We have to help the economy, we have to help people get into good, well-paid jobs in order to help reduce poverty for everybody, not just children.
I'm sorry to say this, but I think, Andrew, you told me out of touch with the reality on the streets. There are over 10,293, these are government statistics, children in poverty in Pendle. That means around the streets of Barnsley, Colne, Folridge, Nelson, Bridefield and the villages, the children who don't necessarily get one hot meal a day. And then those people who are here volunteer in churches and food banks will know, and places like Colne Open Door, they're the organisations that support these families. There's people right now in Colne who don't have any money in the electric meter or don't have the heating on because they can't afford it. And there's so much on social media about young families trying to live off £5 a day, and it's unacceptable when we're the 4th largest economy and the richest country in the world. I'll tell you 3 things that I think we should do. I think that actually, before I do that, I think the biggest rise in poverty is actually with families that work. People where mum and dad both work. And Andrew said, why are they in poverty? Well, they're in poverty because cost of living's gone up, and the wages aren't rising in line with, with that. But let me tell you 3 things that we do. We'd scrap universal credit, because universal credit and benefit sanctions are one of the biggest reasons that people use food banks. And the recent figures from the West Craven Food Bank, which operates in Colne and West Craven, shows a significant rise. What we'd also do is create good quality jobs. We need to enable social mobility, give people the chances to try and get better jobs and to be able to travel to those areas. And I think for young people, especially in primary school kids, make sure that every kid that goes to primary school gets a free hot meal a day.
As an independent, I'm not able to introduce policy, but I am able to support good policy. What I intend to do, if I'm chosen as MP, I intend to support good policy, not bad politics. But both the mainstream parties have suggested a £10 living wage and £10.50 living wage. But why hasn't it been implemented already? That's a question to Andrew Stevenson. Why wait until an election and then promise it after the election? Why use it as a political bargaining chip? In the same way that all parties do. They offer something after the election, like a carrot on a stick. I think it's ridiculous. Anything before the election.
It is rather one of the good things about politics, though, that you do have politicians who feel they need to do things in order to get you to vote for them. And if you try living in one of the countries where politicians don't feel like that, then you'll appreciate the extent of that difference. What's the cause? Well, if anybody really wants to know, this is a bit of an advert for the Conservative Party, but a former Conservative Minister, David Willits, who is now chair of the Resolution Foundation, has led some very interesting, very important work which gets to the bottom of some of the economic reasons behind these things, and that would be the best place to go to get a really detailed look at it. What are the causes behind child poverty? Some of the things Andrew mentioned about prisoners and substance misuse and addiction and so on are right. They are not the reason, however, why there has been a massive change over recent years. The reason for that has been that our welfare state has lost its way, and has lost its way in terms of its responsibility for caring for people when they need it. The responsibility for that rests a lot, not only with political parties, but people who have asked political parties to deliver ever better services for ever lower levels of tax. And that is why, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, the crucial thing is for us to find ways in which we can have a proper, grown-up debate about the level of tax we pay and how we do it. Another key thing that underlines what's happened and some of the changes that have taken place, and Andrew's just been guilty of this, is the stigmatisation of poor people as being responsible for very substantial growth in poverty for people who are in work actually demonstrates that point. Now, what do you do sympathy with a lot of politicians who supported universal credit when it first came in and said, we're really, and this is actually quote, we're really pleased that the Tory party is doing this because they will take the only of the results from it and we will be able to inherit an improved and working system. What's gone wrong with it is not that there is anything essentially wrong with the concept of a simpler system. What has gone wrong with it is that it has been starved of resources. I think we're going to come on to austerity. So
we're starting to move into the next year. Yeah, it's fine,
that's all right. Well, all right. Well, following through on that, what happened with that argument about austerity, and what seems to me to have been an appalling part of it, is that when we moved away from the urgent things that needed to be done, supported by all parties in 2010, we then moved to the stage where a majority Conservative government was looking for reasons as an ideological measure to reduce the total amount of public spending that was happening in our economy. And one of the ways in which they did that was by stigmatising poor people and by saying that, for instance, people who are in workless households are in some way the people who are responsible for this problem. Statistically, that is massively untrue. I mean, it is simply clear, and again, quote the Resolution Foundation, they said the number of three-generation households who have been in poverty for the whole of that time is so small that we cannot actually measure it in our national statistics. But the fact is that those people, time and again, are the subject of speeches at a Conservative Party conference. And, this will please some of you less, the sort of dog whistle which Tony Blair and his friends used when they were talking about hard-working families was an appeal directly to working people to say you can actually trust us not to support all those feckless poor people who never want to work and never want to do anything. Final part of the question, what do you want to do about it? First, I do not want to abolish universal credit with no idea what would follow on from it afterwards and start an immediate top-down reorganisation that will take years to bed in and make poverty worse. What I want to do is to take out the ideological bits that were put into universal credit, things like the two-child limit, things like the delay in payment, things like the benefit cap, things like the penalties that face people. Those things do not have to be part of a coherent system of benefits. And that is why the Liberal Democrat Manifesto, which was a specific question asked, is the manifesto out of these three parties which is actually proposing to spend the most money and make the most commitments to supporting the poorest people, and doing that through the benefit system. I will throw one further thought in on how to do this, which is that we've got to address as a society the nature of work and the way in which work pays, the incentives that people get in work, and how we share in our society between people who work and the people who employ them the results, the gains, the profits of that employment far more than we do at present.
Okay. We've touched on quite a number of these things here. If we take two more questions from the audience, in the sense that we've got the WASPy, the retirement age thing, and also thank you very much for your questions. Sorry, Taz, I didn't get time to get yours, but so there was one about veterans, one about WASPy. I'm just wondering if we could just fit those in. Do you want to come and join us? And there was a WASP, was it? Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, well, I guess we've kind of gone on to austerity there, that's all, so if we've got the time at the end, we can just get those things, yeah. Yeah, but it'd be good to get a finish in Okay. Do you want to just, yeah, do you want to join, have you got one? Yeah, okay, so we'll get one more about austerity just a bit. I mean, we sort of went into that zone, but I think as we've got a bit of time, it'd be good to get, because we'll then pretty much cover everything, which should be great. So, well, carrying on with that theme, have you got a quick question as well to make it so we can get on to what we want to say?
Yeah. So I work as an employability coach and I work on financial capability, so I see the poorest people around mainly. Statutory said a couple of months ago that the government has turned its back on austerity. I find that so out of touch with the people that I work with. I think that it's absolutely ridiculous that he would say that. It's mind-boggling that someone from the Conservative Party would think that there's so many people suffering with austerity. I work first-hand with them. And also, I do so many food parcel referrals every single day. I work with people who are hungry, who have no food, no lighting, no electricity, no heat, no warmth on a daily basis. I was actually speaking to a lady that was suffering with like a severe chest infection, and she was finding it really difficult to breathe. And she only had £10 left, so she had a choice either to go and buy a prescription for an inhaler or to provide food for her daughter. So do you really think that's a choice that we should have? A choice to either breathe or provide food for our children?
Okay.
I think the whole benefit system and universal credit is part of the problem that it's failed. So when it's a broken system, you need to start all over again. I think your comments about Sajid Javid is now the Chancellor, but he became a multi-millionaire as a banker. He was working in derivatives when we had the bankers crash, which was the wrong person to be the Chancellor. The reality is out there is a choice between heat or eat. Right? And at this moment in time, this winter now, if you go out around here, just come out of the church and walk down some of the streets in Waterside, I can guarantee you there's people who are sat in their houses freezing with young children or babies. Right? And as I knock on doors and I get casework, Dorothy is a local councillor, there are dozens and dozens of cases. But people are proud. They don't want to put their hand up and say, I'm struggling. They don't want handouts. They want a good job. They want what they're entitled to. And at the moment, the system that's set up doesn't deliver that. Actually blaming the poor or single mums or people because they've had 2 children, etc., isn't the answer. So it's a broken system. We need to start all over again.
Thank you.
Sajid Javid is an ass. Okay. I do something very similar to yourself. I run a little page on Facebook called My Child's Gift to Yours. It does upset me, actually. People contact me for food. And I don't ask questions. I just go around and give it to them. You'll have to excuse me.
I can come back to you, John.
I've seen some terrible things. You know, people should not be starving this day and age. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'll pass the mic on. I'm sorry.
I agree, people shouldn't have to make that choice. I think the fact that they are being forced to make that choice is a result of the policies that we've seen over quite a few years now, and is to some extent a deliberate choice, not necessarily in an individual case, but in terms of cutting substantially the amount of money which is available to spend on those sorts of things. The problem is what you do next, what you do to stop it. And I mean, frankly, just saying we need to start again may be all right at some point. The point you do that is when you agree a policy, at least 2 years before an election. You tell everybody what that policy is so they can evaluate it. You enable the civil service to work out plans for how they will institute it as soon as you're elected. You don't get elected saying we're going to abolish the only system we've got and then rebuild something else. And that's why, whether in the longer term you do a new system or not, the important thing is to make the immediate changes. Some of the things about disability and employability are obvious examples of how you do that. But changing universal credit to make it what it was originally intended to do, where politicians of all parties supported it. What you have to do to make it work is take out the cruel bits, take out things like the benefits gap. You take out the 2-child policy, you take out the extent of the delay. You actually organise yourself as a society so you can deliver help where it is actually needed. And yet again, I come back to say, there are too many in our society who stigmatise the victims and do not engage in any sort of reasonable, adequate adult discussion about tax and the fact that we all are going to have to pay more if we want to get the results that we're talking about here.
So of course nobody should be asked to make that choice. I think a lot of what's been said covers universal credit. Universal credit was of course introduced with cross-party support as a much necessary reform of the welfare system. It is clear there are many problems still with universal credit. There's been a lot of changes to make it better, to make it simpler, to make it more effective, but there are still people falling through the gaps all the time. And I see many of those people. I have offices in Nelson and Barnoldswick. Lots of people come to me. The forms are still too complex. It is still a very challenging system. So we need to get it better. We need to work together on that because, you know, it's fine, it's simplistic, it's good in an election to say let's just abolish something, but without any idea what you're going to put in its place, I don't think that's a sensible thing to do. I think there is a reason why there was cross-party support when universal credit was introduced, because everybody recognised there were really serious flaws in the old system. So I think let's work together to get universal credit right and ensure that it genuinely supports people. Just to address a quick point that John made about the national living wage and minimum wage and things, we follow the advice of the Low Pay Commission, who give independent advice on these things. So it's not an election gimmick to say we want to see the, you know, national living wage raised to over £10. You know, we're not promising it immediately. We are saying that we have seen substantial rises in recent years. We want to continue to see those rises because everybody deserves a pay rise now. The economy is in better shape and millions more are in employment.
Can I just say that I think, you know, one of the things when Labour brought in the minimum wage and the Tories scaremongered, and they said actually the minimum wage was going to cost millions of jobs. It never did. Actually, it created more jobs. Talking about the national living wage, Labour's talking about bringing that in immediately when we win the general election next week. But the Tories... However, the Tories are talking about bringing it in 2024. Is that another year before the general election? We need jam today, not jam tomorrow.
Can you go straight to the question and then we can get some answers as possible?
I'm one of the, at Sally Lambert, a member of the Labour Party. I'm one of the 3.8 million women who have been affected by the pension change. Most of us started work at 15 in low-paid jobs. We never had equality all the way through our working lives. We raised children, we've looked after parents, we've looked after grandparents. Some of us had 2 years or no notice, this at 60, when we were expecting to retire, and a lot of women had started to cut back their hours because they were expecting to retire at 60. We were then told we had to wait while we were 66. Now, paying into our pension, we're entitled to that. It is not a benefit. We are entitled to that. Women up and down the country are suffering. They're in poverty. They're having to sell their houses. They're making the same decisions, do I eat or heat? And I think it's appalling. For us women who have been the backbone of this country, keeping it going, and now we've been kicked in the teeth. So I'd like to know what everybody would do about it for us.
You'll have to forgive me because I don't know enough about the subject, but you do have my support.
Can we short answer, please?
I'm afraid I do know a lot about the subject. In 2001, when there was a similar problem with the survivors, that's the widows and widowers of state earnings-related pensions, they were told that the system was going to change and their survivor, their widow or widower, wouldn't get continued support. And we actually took that to court. I mean, I led the organisation that took it to court. And at the final event, Alistair Darling invited me to go in and see him, and he said, basically, we're giving up, and we're going to pay compensation, and we're going to pay over £20 billion over the course of the next 20 to 30 years in order to compensate people. That is why I was really surprised that in this case the court challenge didn't succeed, and I thought on the basis of that precedent that it ought to. The challenge whether or not people were given proper notice at the time the decision was made. It seems to be clear that they weren't. It seems to me that that therefore breaches one of the key principles of the 2006 cross-party settlement on pensions, which is that you should never increase the retirement age for anybody without giving a significant lead of time so that they could plan for it. And particularly, you shouldn't increase the pension eligibility age unless there was also a significant increase in healthy life expectancy, which would affect people. The answer to the question, which is what my party will do about it, is compensate people fully who are in that category, who have faced that problem. I think there are other problems that you draw attention to as well. I mean, one of my major pieces of work in the run to 2006 was looking at a series of issues around women's pensions. One of the key gains that we made, which I'm really quite proud of, was the reduction in the number of full contributory years which women had to make before they were entitled to claim their full retirement pension. There were a number of other changes that we made at that time, which again were agreed across all parties. I am therefore amazed that this has arisen in this way, and there has been no strong and immediate response to it, which respects the sort of principles that everybody had agreed on before.
Thank you, Gordon. So, can I just get each one, just because we're running out of time? Sorry, yeah. Andrew?
Well, thank you. Sally, we've discussed this many times. We've been pen friends on this, and it's one thing that, unfortunately, I think it is deeply regrettable what has happened. But, the main change, the biggest change, which has affected women is the equalisation. That's the 5-year change, and that was made in 1995. And as I said before, politely, I was at school in 1995. It was made a long time ago. The thing that was really, really wrong wasn't that decision. It was the fact that for 2 years after, the Conservatives were still in power and we didn't communicate, and then for 13 years, Labour in power and they didn't communicate. So both parties are to blame that we didn't forewarn properly women who find themselves in your position. And that is wrong, and that shouldn't have happened, and I think successive governments should apologise that did happen. The challenge is, where do we go from here to undo those changes? And those changes were brought about because of sex discrimination, because of, we couldn't have different pension ages for men and women, and that's why the change was made. It wasn't to be mean or to save money, it was because it was discriminatory. And the change happened. The change happened in 1995. To undo that change now, and also had cross-party support. To undo that change now would cost something like 120 billion. Now, I know, there are different commitments to be made. There's money being thrown about. Labour have promised to spend, after not mentioning this in their manifesto, the day after, promised to spend 60 billion on this, which is uncosted and not in their costings. I don't think, as a nation, we can just magic up that kind of money. And if we could, unfortunately and regrettably, and I know you may disagree with me, but I'd rather put it in the NHS than compensate women in this situation.
Well, can I just say that if you put it in the NHS needs money because you've been starving it for 9 years. But if you're going to put the money in, all you're doing is putting the plaster, because a lot of these women who are having to sell their homes and having to make those choices will be people who will become sick and end up in hospital because of this policy. Whatever happened in 95 or 97 doesn't give the justification to continue in the way that we are. And that's why I'm really proud that John MacDonald came up last week and met with Sally and a number of WASPy women in Colne, talked to them. It's on YouTube, there's a video, and he explains in about 15 minutes why this injustice has got to be corrected. And he explains how the money is going to come 58 billion over a parliament. And I think the other issue that goes with this is that we've got 3.8 million people, women